I would actually argue, like, men have a little longer period of time to get their life figured out. Because of like childbirth, that sort of stuff. So I actually think the perfect time for a girl to like try to lock in a long-term partner is actually when you're young. It's not when you're in your 30s. Like you have you are at your strongest, let's say, negotiating position when between the ages of like, let's say 18 to 25. You can lock down like pretty much the best partner then. So what happens is a lot of women focus career, and hey, I think career is fine.
What do you mean by negotiating? Like
that's when you're at your like.
You're at your prime. When
you're in
you're
your
between
prime.
the ages of 19 to 25 as a woman, you can find your most optimal partner at that point. Because like Brian said, if you're chasing your career and you're 26, 27, 28, then a man, as you're getting older, is not going to want to marry you as much the older that you get.
It's crazy how you guys like are like anti-sex work and anti-prostitution or whatever, but yet this is giving the same kind of energy.
What do you mean?
I mean, she has a certain value at this age, and she's like more like sellable to a better man, right? But that as she gets older,
not saying that she's sellable.
Yeah,
It's like
well, that's kind of what it sounds
okay,
like.
but
yeah.
I mean, you're trying to pigeonhole like what we're saying here. But like, if we can look at things realistically, people have a value on the dating marketplace. And when I say value, it's not your value as a human being. Everybody has value. Your life has value. But in terms of your value on the relationship marketplace, the marriage marketplace, the sexual marketplace, and I know you're smiling, oh, okay. But the reality is, like, people have value on the marketplace. Now, and this isn't a way to diminish people and to minimize people, but it's just a way to articulate in an analytical sort of way, okay, how are things going to play out on the dating marketplace? Because it is competitive. You are competing with other women. Men are competing with other men. And we tend to try to match up with, we try to get the best we can.
Okay.
Perhaps you object to this sort of it's not even really a commodification.
Yeah, but it is. I mean, you said it, not me. I mean, I didn't
Is this
think
like, you think this is like a gotcha? Oh my God, Brian, it's a pretty common term. Like
I'm completely aware.
Okay,
I
are you familiar with the sexual marketplace?
Yes, I'm completely aware with it.
So there's the dating marketplace.
You don't have to like mansplain it to me. Yes, I'm completely aware.
I'm not mansplaining. Which, by the way, I disavow your use of a rather sexist term.
Is it sexist?
Mansplain I think it is sexist. In the same way, if I were to say womansplain.
Womansplain. Okay.
True.
Because you're attaching someone's gender to like, you're trying to diminish what I'm saying by saying.
Okay, well, I apologize because
apology accepted. Continue
no, because I'm
point.
honestly not like the kind of girl who like I have no issues with men. I love men. Most of my friends are men. I have only brothers. Like I have no issues with men at all. But yeah, mansplain is just a term. It's like a.
Okay, so let's continue with the conversation.
Anyways, yeah, so no, I mean, the thing with the sexual marketplace that bothers me is that I feel like it's so black and white. And the issue with like red pill in general for me, as someone who's like leaning more towards blue pill, although I do agree with some of your points, is that it's so black and white. Like it lacks nuance. I mean, people in general, they're not getting married these days at 19 years old. And I mean, it's kind of the same concept of like when you're 19, like, do you really want to get married with the guy? Like my 6-year relationship that I was talking about, I was 17 when we got together. We could have gotten married, but I chose not to because I felt like I kind of outgrew him. And if we had gotten married at 18, for example, we probably would have ended up divorced.
I'm not saying like get married immediately at 18, but what I am saying is like I would say that you are in your peak years between, say, 18 to 25.
Do you think it'd be easier for, say, like a 48-year-old woman to find someone on the dating marketplace than a 19-year-old woman?
No, well, that's
extreme. That's what we're.
Well, that's extreme. I mean, I'm just saying that, like, I think that everybody, men and women, should like get some experience before they jump into getting married.
No one's saying that they shouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I think that he's trying to say that, and sorry, not to put words in your mouth, but I think it's more that. Within your 20s, I feel like that's realistically
like
a good time.
When you're the most valuable, but like
yes.
to who?
to a partner. That
A
you
long-term
ultimately-
relationship. If
You don't.
get
Go
sorry.
Go ahead.
If you get married later in life, even if it's just somebody who is also getting married on later in life, it's I want to say less likely to work. If it was more likely to work out, it would be due to lack of other options for both parties.
Well, like here's a common thing you hear, for example, is like, and look, and I think I kind of touched on this. I don't have an issue with women. Like, I think it's great that that we can. What's the right term here? That we can, and I'm using this in the most charitable sense, that we can exploit the genius and intellect of women to, for example, I think it's wonderful that women are going into STEM and researching cancer, and I think we need to put as much manpower, no pun, like woman power, to trying to solve some of the most challenging problems that we face in society, cancer research, tackling certain illnesses, diseases, etc. I think it's wonderful to have women in the workforce. However, what you do have is a lot of women who, throughout their 20s, focus on their career, get into their 30s, and they're like, wow, this really isn't particularly fulfilling. I'd really like to have a family and kids. But once you get to your mid-30s, it does become, I'd say even for both men and women, but perhaps more so for women, it becomes a bit more difficult to find a partner. And the other thing you have is you'll also have, in addition to the career component, you'll have women who they'll spend their 20s just like fucking a bunch of dudes, casual sex, and then they get to the finish line, or maybe not the finish line, but they get to their 30s. Oh, I want a husband. I want to have
Like,
kids.
nobody wants them,
I have a
right?
bunch of baggage from like fucking all these dudes. My body count's high. Maybe I picked up herpes on the way.
It's
Okay.
just going to be more difficult
luck.
to
Okay,
find them.
see,
Not that
so
nobody
the
wants them.
STD thing I can actually get on. Like, that's my big thing with body
Well,
count.
that's
Yeah.
another thing with body count.
Yeah.
The more sexual partners you
Yeah,
have, the more
likely to have
the
STD.
greater
Yes,
likelihood to get an
completely,
STD.
yeah.
So you don't think that a woman loses value in areas like wisdom, career, etc., but in relationship-wise, right?
What do you mean?
Like, so we're talking about how a woman loses value as they age.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's
Doesn't
a harsh
Not
way to
that
put
they
doesn't
it.
lose
lose
value. It just
value,
becomes
it's
more
more just
difficult
like-
for them to.
It's a harsh
Like,
way
for
to
example,
put it.
let me, okay, when I'm 50 years old, I think I will have less value in the dating marketplace than I do now.
So we're just exclusively speaking about the dating scene, not necessarily other walks of life like
Yeah.
career. Okay, I'm just clarifying.
Yeah, no, it's not
Because
like
I think that
your value as a human.
Yeah,
No,
a lot of
that's,
people's
it's just
concern. Yeah.
No, that's not what we're talking
No,
about.
I agree. I think biologically, obviously, it's true that as you age, you're.
For example, here's another example. If I just tomorrow woke up 300 pounds heavier and I was obese, my value in the dating marketplace,
I completely agree.
it would
with
be
you,
much
yeah.
harder for
No,
me to
100%.
attract women. Therefore, my value
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
marketplace has been diminished.
I totally agree with you. I just think
I'm still a human being, and
yeah,
but
100%. But I think the problem that most people have with the conversation is they're not viewing it from like a completely cornered off perspective like that. They're viewing it like, oh, well, a woman loses value in all walks of life as they
Very
get older, which
personally,
isn't
yeah.
true. Yeah, but
No.
we're talking about
No.
biology here.
No,
So,
not at
yeah.
all, not
Okay.
at all. But like in terms of being attractive to the
Yeah,
opposite
no,
sex,
I completely agree with
like
you.
as you
Yeah.
get
Do you guys
older.
Do you
The
feel like the
scientific
state
side.
of our economy kind of contributes to that?
Well,
I mean,
well,
because go on.
Oh, well, I mean, certainly it's the case that for, I'd say, most people, to get by in today's day and age,
You need two incomes.
you need two incomes.
Right.
So, I mean, that we can go back in time and say, well, and again, I think it's wonderful that we can now, and again, I'm using this word in the most charitable sense, we can now exploit women's brilliance and intelligence in the workforce. However, there are certain economic ramifications to essentially doubling the labor pool.
I agree.
And in the past, you could, one income could support a household.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, some people can still do it, but it's really no longer the case. Now you're
Yeah.
faced with both men and women
On
have to
average,
work.
yeah.
And again, I think it's wonderful that if you're a woman and you want to focus on your career, fantastic. That's great. However, there are certain economic realities when you double the labor pool.
Right.
Actually, I want to circle back to what me and you were talking about when I was
That's what I
like,
was getting at.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when
go
you
for it.
when-
I'll step away. I need to get up for a sec, but go ahead, guys.